Welcome for the Power BI training. Now that is your course description, as we can see here. So we'll be working with the home and file and home menus. We'll be learning to import and export files, get data from different sources, open and save the options and settings, working with report views, assigning fields on Canvas, building visualizations, formatting the report page. So it is going to be quite project-centric approach, although we'll be understanding the various features too. But it is going to be kind of examples and project-centric approach. I have taken at least 2 examples. One example is there, and the second example also I have added data set of which. Okay, we have only one example here for now, but I'll take a second example also for you. Right, let's quickly start. We can't be waiting too long. Right, let's launch the software first quickly. Again, for people who just walked in, these are the course contents that are to be covered. As you can see, we'll be importing and exporting files, and then will be followed by getting data from different sources. This is something that I've showed you. We also open and save the reports. We are also, I also showed you all the options and settings, which was part of the introduction to menus, GUIs, and toolbars. We'll work with the report views. We'll be generating some reports. And we'll also be assigning fields on the canvas, which is something that is going to happen as we work on reports. We'll be building visualizations, formatting the report page as well. It's going to be an interesting session. Let us quickly import the file or the example that we have. Let us open all these fields here. And before that, let us again visit the menus for your easier and quicker understanding. We'll be working towards importing and exporting the menus. We'll be working towards getting the data and how do you import the data, all the different types of data sources that you can work with. That is something that we should play as well. Opening the report, save as options and settings. Out here, when you go on options, there's a long list of options that will come up over here. And then you can decide on what all settings do you want to work upon. There's a Power Query Editor, Direct Query Editor. So this is also something we'll look into. Right, so now that the software is launched, let us quickly import our file. Okay, let's click on import. We'll not import from Excel. We are putting another file which is of CSV format. I'm clicking here on the home menu. I click on Get Data. Scroll down here on Text or CSV menu, as you can see, and click on that. I'll go on the desktop, live sessions, Power BI, day 2. Now that is the data file that we have. That's the energy data file that we have. So I'll select that file. Now you can read here that's in the text or CSV file format or .trm format. And why is it showing that? Because that's the file we chose. That's the file we've selected to import. I click open. You can see it's establishing the connection. Now then this is the data set that we have. The row labels, what do we have here under the row labels? And we have the names of the different countries. Data in the preview has been truncated to the size limits. Of course, that will happen because it's a preview. In the preview, it will not show you everything, although it's based on first 200 rows. If you click on based on entire data set, preview is evaluating, right? So now that is what we have all until the that is still Zambia. Well, I think that if you all enroll or if you all subscribe to this, then you all will have the data sets also. Should be shared. But yes, of course, you all have to take a subscription for this course. And alternatively, you all can also download the data sets online from different data sources that you all want. That's VPN Sun. Yes, we can see that we have loaded the entire data set. Out here, this is data type detection is based on the entire data set. Out here, we can see, right now, let's load. So I click load. So once I load this data set, worksheet will appear here on the fields, this field screen, and you can see it's loading. You're applying changes, discard changes. No, we don't want to do anything. Let the file load. You can see here there are 166 rows working on it, and yes, we have the data file connected out here. Fine, so now let us draw. We'll create a visualization. As we can see here, we already imported the file. We also got the data. We like to open and save the reports, but we're not yet created any reports. We are not saving it. Let us go to this. Yeah, on day 2. I have prepared a small presentation for you so that you all can understand what is going to happen. Clicking on the energy data comparison. That's the slide that we have. So what do I intend to do? I intend to create an energy data comparison between the renewables and the non-renewables. So in the data set that we've taken, we have the different data pertaining to the energy sources, which are renewable energy sources and non-renewable energy sources. So when I say renewables, what does that mean? It means wind, solar, hydro. Hydro is water, nuclear. Now again, we can call nuclear a renewable energies. The source or the materials that goes into that is not renewable. Uranium, plutonium, thorium, you cannot recreate it. I mean, there are, of course, nuclear reactors which do all that, but I'm not going to go into the physics of that. The point again is we intend to study the electricity generation of renewables versus non-renewables. So when I speak of non-renewables, what does it mean? When I say fossils, it can be coal, it can be crude oil, it can also be gas. In non-renewables, what more do we have? Yeah, so these are the prominent fossil fuels or non-renewable fuels that we have. Typically, I intend to create a report that studies the comparison and which conducts a comparative study on the electricity generations. Right, so that's your canvas as we had discussed. That's your reports mode, that's your data mode, that's your model mode. Out here we can see the energy data that's provided here. If you want, we can make it invisible. You can also refresh the data. You can manage aggregation, select columns. Now, these are the additional features that will come up as you walk across different features. Sub features will always come up. Sub features will also come up. So anyway, let's go on the reports mode. I'm selecting renewables first. So of these, which of these is renewable that you see? Biofuel is not, coal is not, fossil is not, gas is not, hydroelectricity is. So I'm selecting that. Then followed by that, we also nuclear electricity. Okay, let's keep it debatable. Renewables, electricity. Okay, we'll come to that later. Solar and wind. Now, these are the 3 sources I've taken. Let us also add renewables, electricity, and nuclear electricity. These are the 5 different sources that, and let us go into the focus. So if I take this in the focus mode, there is one thing missing, though we have not taken anything on the y-axis, but it's okay. I'll come on that a little later. So I'll minimize these visualizations, fields, and filters. And so fine, what do we see here? We see here hydroelectricity that's generated, that is denoted by this color, and these are the different colors that will identify it. If you come here, it will show you this figure 192,868. Now, what is that? That is the summation. Summation of what? Of all the sources that generate nuclear, of all the countries that use nuclear electricity, the total count in terms of gigawatts or megawatts, perhaps. So fine, let's click on fields again. Click on visualizations and also on the filters. We have this data, this is the consolidated data of all the countries that are there. Now, out here we have row labels. So I'm going to select row labels also. Right now, after selecting row labels, what do we see? The details have changed. Okay, out here we are reading the names of the different countries, and here there is world that is mentioned, right? And let's go into again the focus mode, which we already are in. So you can see here that for the entire world, the figure is quite high, as we see here. But if we get rid of that, then we'll come to know what is, how much is each country consuming. So let us do one thing. Let us get rid of this world data that we have here from our data set. So I'm clicking here on the data set. I have to scroll down here. And there is the world. Now this is the world data. Okay, when you add up all these values, all the biofuel electricity values when added up, they give us a 7816. Likewise, when you add up all the coal values, coal electricity values, it gives us this value. So we can see here that this world value that we have here, it's a bit tricky. So we would like to delete it. So we can delete it. If I want to delete the row labels, yes, not that. That's a bit of a blooper. We didn't want to delete that as a row, but deleted that icon. Okay, let's close this. We'll have to import the entire data again. Fine, let's come back to the home page. I'll close this file here. Report. Fix this. Yes, we have to fix this. Delete from the model. Okay, fine. We are going to get the data afresh. That was a text or a CSV file format. Let's click connect. There is one more thing that you can do though. Instead of processing it over here, you can also process the same of the import file itself. So let us do it that way. That will be easier and convenient for us. Okay, let us also understand this data set a bit because there are a lot many columns here. Let's cancel this for now. Let us work on this a bit. See out here on the row labels, you can see this country names. These are the names of the countries that we have chosen for which the electricity consumption data is available. So which countries are using how much of which kind of fuel is available. Now in Afghanistan, Albania and Algeria, there is nothing called as biofuel or electric or coal. Afghanistan, of course, it's a broken country. So when you speak of Algeria, they cannot have a biofuel electricity. Why? Because it's in a desert. So typically they'll not have any plants they are growing, which you can use for generating biofuel electricity, of course. And they have a high composition of fossil electricity, gas electricity, hydroelectricity. They don't have oil electricity generation. They also, now why is that they are having a very high composition of fossil electricity and even some bit of hydroelectricity? They don't generate hydroelectricity. It's most likely they are importing it from elsewhere. So, but when we see it, the fossil and the gas electricity is the highest because it is one of the largest oil and gas producers in the world. Obviously, it's not as high as Saudi Arabia or Russia, still. So these are the country names that we see here. And when you come here, yeah, let's get rid of this. We are deleting this and saving this here. We're saving it over there. And now let's close this file and get data. So we're selecting text and CSV. Wait, let us do one thing. We'll remove this. We'll remove it. Okay, that's better. We click on get data or text or CSV file format. Click connect. Energy data. I click open. And yes, that's the data that we have. I click load. Generating, it's loading, it's working on it. Yeah, okay, the energy data is ready here. Again, we were working on the renewables source. So let's click on solar, which was the hydroelectricity, and we also taken the nuclear electricity. Fine, that is what these are the summation values. Okay. Now, if I select row labels out here as we selected last time, we can see that's the name of the countries that we are seeing here. Okay. And but then again, we can see that China, United States, they have the highest electricity production out here. They are the largest consumers, followed by Canada, France, and yeah, Canada and France also the highest, followed by Japan, Norway, Russia. I can't find India anywhere. Yeah, okay, India is here that we can see. One more thing. This out here we are reading this as row labels, right? Instead, It is supposed to be the country names that we are seeing here. So you can see here row labels out here on the x-axis, and on the y-axis we have the different electricity types that are here. So let us change this row labels to country name. So I'll select this row labels here, right click on that, scroll up here on rename, and I'll change this to what? Country name. Yes. So that you can see it's working on it and it's changed. So country name is here, and you can see here this country name is changed here. Now, what is this? Typically, this what we generated here is the electricity consumption of different countries for the renewables energy source. This is what we did. And now if I click on this, you can also export this data. You can show this data as table. You can sort the axis. Okay. So if you want, you can sort as what? A to Z also, or Z to A. So I'm clicking on this. Now this is in descending order. That is, we are having it from wind to nuclear or hydro. So now I'm changing this from A to Z. So let's click on sort axis, descending A to Z. Right. Now what happens is the changes here, they are showing up out here in this format. The point here again is the values that are used. Okay. The sorting is not based on the names. It is based on the values of all the energy sources. We see here that's China, United States, Germany. So these are the names of the countries. And let us keep it descending so that we can easily understand it. As we come over here, we can see that there is a very long list of countries where the power consumption is low. And obviously, because they're not as big in terms of economic, not big in terms of economic sizes. So therefore, the electricity consumption is going to be naturally lower. But then again, what is this report about? It is about renewables. So what I'll do is I'll go back to report. I'll come on page 1, right click, rename the page. I'll rename this as what? Renewables. So, and yes, let's keep saving this file, which I haven't since start. So I click on file here. I'll click on save or save as. That's date. I intend to save this file as energy consumption. Let's make this global energy renewables versus non-renewables. Sorry, that's a very long file name. Let's click save. File name is not valid. Okay, we can't take a slash here, it seems. PERS. I click on save. Now you can see here the file format in which it's getting saved is .pbix. So these are the two file types that your data will be getting saved as. So I click save here. It's working on it, and your file has been saved. So when your file has been saved, where is your file name? That's your file name. You see it here on the top. That was for renewables energy that we see here. So we have picked wind, solar, hydro, and nuclear. When it comes to non-renewables, so again, what I'll do is, right, let us select a new page. So I'm selecting a new page here, and I'll rename this page as what? Non-renewables. So I'll rename here. That's non-renewables that we see here. And again, we intend to generate or create the same file type out here that we are seeing here. We'll create the same file types. What I've done is I have taken it on a separate page. I can also take it over here on the same page. I can take it, but I'm taking it on a separate page for your ease in understanding. Next, what do we see here? We now want to create something on the non-renewables. Yes. Let's open these. So what are the non-renewables? Coal is, fossil is, gas is non-renewable, oil is also non-renewable. And which other ones do we have? Solar, electricity, yeah. Biofuel also is non-renewable, certainly. So here you can see these are the non-renewables that we have selected. We haven't selected the country name. select country name out here. Yes, we have not selected. We are supposed to select this and then we select the country. Oops. Yeah. There and thereafter we select the country name. Of course, when you go outside, it will show you this as an error. So I'm going to delete this one. Now that's gone. Right. So let us go to the focus mode. Again, what do we see here? We see coal, fossil, electricity, gas, and electricity or electricity and biofuel. They are the non-renewable energy sources, of course. And they are listed out here. So again, we see that China, United States, India. Whoa, India is in the third list. Is on the third positions on non-renewables. Thereafter, you have Germany, Japan, South Africa, Russia, Australia, Poland, and then there is a long list of countries. And there are countries where like you can hardly see anything, except for Saudi Arabia. Now, I'm not surprised about this Saudi Arabia having this like a reasonable count or healthier consumption because it is the largest producer of oil and gas in the world. So yes, they'll have the highest consumption, non-renewables or fossil fuels as we call it. So let us see in specific to Saudi Arabia, where do we see it? Out here in case of oil and gas, in case of non-renewables, it is showing a distinct consumption quantity. Of course, compared to other countries, it's not too high. Again, in case of Iran also. So if you see most of the OPEC countries, oil and gas producing countries, they will be showing a very high account of renewables consumption. So I think, see, yeah, out here, you can see Russia also. Out here, you can see this Russia. That is also the largest fossil fuels, typically oil and gas producer in the world. So we can see that consumption of Russia is the highest vis-a-vis, of course, United States, India, and even China for that matter, because it produces. So if we see it, Russia is the largest consumer amongst all the OPEC countries when it comes to renewable, non-renewable energy sources. Now let's quickly go back to the report. I'm on page 1. Okay. And out here, if I click on focus, now again, I am on renewables. Okay. Pay attention. Out here, where does Russia stand in renewables? Well, I can't see it anywhere over here. Nowhere over here. If I'm scrolling slowly, yeah, it comes this far behind. And then where does Saudi Arabia stand in renewables? Well, that's hard to find. It's PQRSSSS Singapore. Yeah, Saudi Arabia. Now, so you can see it's just a small spot. Like I said, since it is the largest oil and gas producer, so it will have a greater consumption from non-renewable sources. But in case of India, we saw that is starkly different. We saw when we check it out here, where does India stand? Yeah, India stands here at number 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in renewables. But then when we see it again in case of non-renewables, India's consumption is third largest. And of course, it's not a surprise also because we are energy guzzling economy. We use a lot of energy for our economic development. Out here we see ourselves in number 3. So that is the kind of comparison you will be expected to make. So let me do one thing. Let us write down a few points from the analysis perspective. Comparisons. We have not conducted a country-specific analysis. Okay, I'll pick that in a little while. But whatever we are doing, let us jot it down here on a separate slide for ease in understanding. Country name. Again, I'm not going to write an essay or anything. Like we just read bullet points, very, very short bullet points. India is largest non-renewables consumer, non-renewables energy consumer world. 5th largest. Wait, let's confirm it again. That is what? That is page 2, right? So that is for the renewables. Yeah. In the non-renewables, we are third largest. And in case of renewables, we are the fifth largest, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes. I'll write it down over here. The fifth largest in renewables. That's no surprise. We are the second largest and the most populated country in the world. So obviously, that is how it will look like. Saudi Arabia shows higher non-renewables energy consumption compared to renewables energy sources because it is the largest fossil fuels producer world. Largest, yeah. This is how you can provide your comparison. Country specific comparison that we made, again, individual for each country separately, not country against one country against another country. And the same holds true for Russia. Non-renewables energy consumption is higher than the renewables energy source. And China tops the list. Let's do some bit of analysis on China and United States. See, what do we see? In case of United States, the nuclear electricity is the highest. It's the highest for United States. And when we speak of the non-renewables, yes, overall consumption is higher for China, but when we speak of individual consumption, United States is the highest in fossil fuels and also in the renewables energy. So we can write it not China, it's US. US tops the list for both renewables, non-renewables energy. So this is how you'll prepare a comparison. I'm going to save this slide. And then you can go further. You can take, like, out here in this, in the countries that we have, the list that we have, you can identify different countries and you can compare only those countries. So typically, if you want, if you take country name, we can add a filter here. That is not something I've picked up, but that's okay. I click here in the filters, you can see that we have the country name. So I'm selecting here. This is basic filtering. Okay, if I want, I can go to advanced filtering also out here. I can also select top N. So top N. So when I say show items, top what? Top 10 countries. Okay. By value? Yes, by value. And oops, what's going wrong here? Add data fields here. So when I speak of data fields here, well, which field do you want to add? Let us select nuclear energy. And I click apply filter. So these are the top 10 countries that we see here in terms of nuclear energy consumption. Again, we are seeing other sources also, but we have applied the filter for nuclear electricity. Okay, so out here you can see that when we speak of, when you apply for it, it will appear like this in your, so when you apply a filter, that is how your the report will change or modulate. Let's come back here. Now again, you can see here that once I change the page number here, the filters will disappear because the filters that I had applied here, they are for the filters that are applied here, they are applicable for the non-renewables page. If I select on renewables, okay, out on renewables, you will not see any of those filters applied. Again, So these are the features that you need to learn and understand. Fine, let us do one thing. I'll remove the filters here. Let's come back here. I'll remove the filter here. Okay, you can lock also this filter so that no one can make any changes here. If you click on this little lock that you see here, you can lock the filter as well. Fine, so this is what we have. That apart, what more can we do? Let us take a third page. Now let us select limited few countries for which we'll perform the analysis of fuel consumption. Or instead of that, let us take another kind of project. Let us select GDP. We'll take the country names also, GDP, population, and the country name. GDP wise and in terms of population, US is the highest, followed by China, followed by Japan, India, and so on. Wait, I've not applied any filters or anything specific. So we'll come to that a little later. But then if you come back here on creating a report, typically, this is how your report should appear or look like. So we're having a GDP and population on the y-axis, and we're having the country name on the x-axis. Obviously, these are the summation values that you're seeing here. See, for GDP, it's what, 664 and 10, 15 zeros. The point is, it is the richest country in the world, of course. Its GDP is supposed to be the highest. Then it's followed by China, and then by Japan, and India comes at rank number 4, followed by Germany, UK, France, Italy. So India is not doing as badly as we see here. Of course, there is a population figure also out here that is probably adding to it. But okay, anyway, so this is one thing. Now, what can we add here? Oh, this is one kind of visualization that I've picked for you all. Let us do one thing. I'll close this page. I don't want this to save this page. Let us select another data. Okay, so I'm saving this and I'll close this file. Still have decent amount of time. I'm saving this file. I'm closing this session. Okay, I'll open a fresh session for Power BI in which I'll import a different data set and then we go forward on that. I intend to create a line graph. So let's see how that will unfold. So I'm closing this session. I'm clicking on Power BI desktop again. We opened a fresh session. We have the screen, the home screen ready for it. And I want to import the data. Now let's see which of these is in Excel format. We have the banking data. Most of this. Okay, let's work on Bitcoins. But these are, again, these are also in CSV format. Yes, I think this is an interesting data. Oh, I'm importing the data. Let's click on File, Get Data, or let's click Import. No, we cannot import from anything. You have to click on Get Data. The file format is in TXT or CSV format, so I select it. I'll go on the data sets that I have maintained. Bits, that's for the Bitcoins. Clicking Open here. Another file that I have selected for another example. And so we see here, these are the first 200 rows. Let's select based on the entire data set. These are the prices, okay, token one, and these are like, oh, that's quite a quantity of price data that we have. Never mind. So what is the file type? It's a comma. So particularly it's a CSV file format as we see it. And the file origin is in this with Western European Windows format or whatever. Okay, so let's cancel this. Let's not waste your time or my time. Let's click on Get Data. I click on text or CSV file. Bits, and I click Open. So I click on Load. Okay, there is one error. So let's view the error. This is interesting. There could be some missing data or some error in the apply changes. Okay, let's click on apply changes and see what comes. Yeah, okay, they have resolved it. No worries, great. What do we see here? These are the prices. Let's bring them out here. That's O byte, O byte 2. I'm taking substratum, I'm taking syntropy, and I'm taking token. Now, what is this token underscore 1? Well, these are the different values. So I'll come to that a little later. I have calculated the returns data. So that is how it will show up. Let's click on date as well. Right. So, and let us select line chart. Should it show up? Yes, we have a line chart here today. Now the difference here is this is a very big file, not substratum. O byte. Yeah, okay. The O byte is gone. Build it in token. So that is how your line chart will appear on your Power BI. So now what do we see here? Now we are seeing here on the x-axis, we have the year. And on the y-axis, we have the price data, typically for Syntropy, Substratum, and token. So these are the three Bitcoin prices or Bitcoin values that we have taken on the y-axis. On the x-axis, that is the years. So what do we see here? When you bring it here, these are the summation values, okay, for each year, 2019, 2020, 2021, and then we see here 2022 for some parts. This is how you'll be plotting and drawing your line graphs for your time series data. So this is when I speak of time series data, you can see here, let's go on the table format. Okay, let's come to that. Come back to this a little later. Out here, when we plot these details, not all of them, let's select O byte, substratum, syntropy, and token, the dates. That is for O byte. Okay, let's deselect it. This is how you plot your line graph, of course. And out here, we can add, we have added the filters. If you want, you can make the changes here. You can provide advanced filtering, basic filtering for the date or the day type. Again, you can do the same for quarter, year, month type also. Out here, these are the Bitcoins that we have selected. Their data is also reflected over here. So if you want, you can take the token values, you can apply the filter over here. Again, if you want, you can also apply the filters on Syntropy and Substratum also. On the x-axis out here, we can see on the visualizations, of course, out here in visualizations. On x-axis, you see the different periods that are shown over here. Supposedly, if I deselect or if I close year, this will change. Quarter will change, month will change, and the daily price data will appear somewhat like this. So that is another important thing that you can look into. Followed by that, if you want, you can also change. You can remove substratum, and you can also remove token. So that is how your Syntropy price analysis for the daily price data will show up. Let's click on that. Move to, yeah, you can go. You can also select these axes out here. Fine, this is what we have for the line data that we are seeing here. Let's select dates. So if you select dates, again, all of these will come up over here. I don't need this, so I'm going to delete it. So if you select this, click on this, and you can select remove. That particular is a visual is deleted. After this, let's take something more. Instead of day, I'll select monthly data. Let us select monthly data. So I'm deleting the daily, quarterly, and yearly data. I'm selecting only the monthly data. As for Syntropy, let us also take token, substratum, and O byte. The O byte will take everyone else out. This is the monthly price movement for all the Bitcoins that are available. So what I'll do is I'm taking this out here, minimizing them. You can also minimize this. What do we see here? Well, we can see that how do you perform your analysis typically? For the month until the month of Feb, it was stable, but since the month of Feb, we saw a spike, a higher spike on substratum, and this one is what syntropy. But then a token was relatively stable. Substratum spike fell hugely and it stabilized in the month of June. And again, we are seeing an increase out here from the month of November, in the month of November. This is how your analysis you can perform, really. This is how you create your line graph. That apart, what more can we look into? Yeah, we already worked on views, we have built visualizations, we are working on, we worked on formatting, build visualizations, assign fields on canvas. Right, so most of this is being covered. Let us save this file. I'll rename this page as what? We are renaming this as Bitcoin's price movement into bracket. So that's the monthly price movement. And let us also create. Now what I'll do is I'm keeping this aside here and I'm adding another visual out here on the same page. That's something that I was supposed to show you in the previous example. Let us come back here on, let's select this line chart. So that is showing up over here. You can drag this and drop it. So I'm putting it over here somewhere. That is for monthly. Wait, let's rename this, not monthly. I'll just keep it as price movements. Bitcoins price movements. Now this we intend to plot for what? The daily price data. Okay, so let's select date, syntropy, token, and substratum, right? So I'm selecting syntropy, substratum, syntropy, and token. These three are here on the x-axis. That was for monthly data. I would like to select the daily, quarterly data. Let's select quarterly data. So I'm deleting yearly. I'm selecting deleting monthly. Let's also delete the daily. So that is your quarterly data that we are seeing here for the first, second, and the third quarter. Let us go to the focus mode here. Quarters that are being shown over here, and these are the different prices that are being shown out here. Out here it is showing anyways that it's quarterly price data. Now, if I want, I can add a text over here. So I'm going to add text box. Oops, not here. Okay, we cannot add it over here individually. We'll have to add it. Let's come here and remove it. What I'll do is stretch this down here. This can be moved slightly on this side, and this can also be stretched here. So okay, you can do the formatting part out here. Accommodate as many of these we all want. What text do we want to add here? We can add a text box here. You can provide the font size and font type here. 2024. Let's put it 24. What is this? Price points, price movement analysis for monthly data. Obviously, we can see here this is too small in terms of the font. So we'll increase the font, don't worry. So I'll select this. I'll come and select on the font size. Let's select 24. This is how your file overall looks and appears to be typed. And I'm going to save this. We are not saved as. Save as what? Price movements. Price movement. Bitcoin's price movements. Provide the names also. Okay, let's do it. These are the Bitcoin names, of course, when I click save. This is what we have. That apart, what more can we look into out here? I guess that is going to be enough for you all for the day. So, I think this is all that we can do. Let us do one thing. These are the returns calculations. So let's go to the returns calculations also. Let us quickly open a new page and see if we can include your returns. When you select this, it will show you the default visualization as a bar chart only. You may have to change. You can yourself change this to the line chart, even the area chart if you want. So that is how your area chart will look like. And if you want to change it to the line chart, that is how your line chart will appear. Right, so let us take this. We'll select the daily data, year, quarter, month. This is what returns price movement. So I'm renaming this page as the returns bitcoins, or returns price graph returns. So these are the returns value. How do we calculate the returns value? Well, we took today's price minus yesterday's price and divided it by yesterday's price. So that is how we got this. And let's come here and see if we can do some bit of formatting here for you all. Okay, there are no filters that we need to add any further. Okay, let's format the visual if you want. Let's see what can be formatted. These are the visualizations that are visualization formats that are available. If you want to add, we can add the grid lines. At least what dotted, we can make it dashed. There's not change out here though. X-axis is on. Yes. Y-axis is also on. No, they were off. Okay, initially they were on. We switched it off. Fine. This is what we have for the legend. Also, it is on. We have selected the legend. You can change the legend position from top left to the center. Top center. Okay, so that will come here. And the title can also be, the text title is what? Let's change the text title. It has taken a default title. Bitcoins returns. That is how you can. Yeah, so out here you have added the title also, that is evident here. The text is what? The text size is 10. We can increase it to what? 4. Yeah, that looks bigger. And this can be, no, that's way too bigger. So we'll reduce this to say 20. We have white here. So, okay, that is also not a problem. This is how you'll be doing your report formatting. The text out here is what? I don't want this text, so I'm deleting this text. That is gone out there. And header icons. Retain the header icons, alternative text. No, we don't want any alternative text either. The tooltips and all that properties also, I'm leaving it as is. If you click on advanced options for properties, these are the options that will pop up, that will come up. So I'm closing this one as well. Yeah, you can reset all the settings to default that we don't want to happen. And what do you have here? Further analysis, add further analysis to your visual. You can do that. Constant line, minimum line, average line, max line, and all. Let's select average line. Apply settings, add a line. Yeah, so you can see here, this is the average line, the dotted average line that we are seeing here. Okay, these are some of the things that you can do. Now, this is all that we have as far as is concerned.